Hello and welcome back to my channel, or welcome to my channel in the first place. Today we have a Todoroki ex-listener. Be respectful if you're in the live chat, and let's go ahead and get into it. Good morning, can I take your order please? Todoroki stood in front of the cash register, fingers poised and ready to stab in the order of the customer who was next in line. He let out a quiet sigh puff from his lips, a sign of how sleepy he was. It was 8 a.m. on a weekend after all, and instead of being able to sleep in, here he was, working his ass off for some spare cash. What should I get? The nervous voice that reached Todoroki's ears made him look up with a bored look on his face. Seriously? If you had the nerve to brave the morning queue with the poor weekend workers just to not know your order, you had to be... Oh. Your eyes met his, and you swore you had never seen such a handsome man in your life. Todoroki seemed equally stunned, his grip on the edge of his register tightening. His dull-toned eyes roamed your face for a split second before returning to the register out of shame. What was he doing? Just a customer, that's all. Heat rose to warm your cheeks as he chewed on the inside of your lip. Were all baristas supposed to be that handsome? Your fingers fumbled with the edge of your sleeve, twisting the fabric nervously. Ugh, let me order first. 1 large caramel latte please, double shot. Beside you, your friend elbowed her way into the front of the queue, eliciting a whine from you. She rolled her eyes at how starstruck you were by simply looking at him. With that annoyed tone, he snapped back to reality and punched in the order, scribbling down your friend's name on a paper cup. That'll be $6.99 please. He reached forward to take the cash in his hand, avoiding all eye contact with you to the best of his abilities. Todoroki kept his gaze on the bill that was deposited into his hand and the coins that he returned. His heart throbbed against the bone and muscle in his chest, drowning him in embarrassing thoughts of you. How could anyone look that angelic? With your furrowed brow, adorable eyes that implored him for his drink recommendation, and the small peak of your tongue between your lips, you would easily wrap Shoto Todoroki around your pinky finger. Just a customer, you'll be here one day and gone the next. Here's your change, and your order? He felt the quaver in his voice as he returned the coins to your friends. She nudged your side, worming through the thick crowd with a playful wink. You sucked on your teeth in embarrassment. Turning back to face him, you took a second to be completely lost in his eyes. I think I'll have a hot chocolate, please. Your voice cracked at the last bit, and Todoroki found himself snorting a little. Your eyes flew open in horror. You could not stop embarrassing yourself anywhere, huh? Your grip on your wallet tightened, and you swallowed back a lump in your throat. He probably thought that you were weird. He pressed the screen, which emitted quiet beeps. Hot chocolate? Really? Who comes to a fancy coffee shop just to get hot chocolate? Sighs? He struggled to keep down his laughter himself, his own cheeks burning bright. He was horrible. How could he have snorted at a customer? And you looked utterly horrified as well. Todoroki felt a little guilt creep up his spine, and he bit on his lower lip. Small, wait, medium? No, small please. The first meeting on that fateful Sunday morning spiraled into more random encounters. Well, maybe not so random. Your friend somehow found out about Todoroki's work schedule through a mutual employee at the coffee shop. She was tired of your useless and idiotic pining, and you somehow found yourself there every time he had a shift. Your wallet was begging you to think with your brain before your heart. But for now, you were willing to push the thought of your draining bank account to the side for the greater good. Capitalism and disgustingly priced coffee shops be damned. Todoroki wondered how he saw you every time he was working. Not that he minded. You were a welcome relief to the monotony of taking orders and grinding beans during rush hour. He had your order memorized by the 3rd time you came over. Your obsession with the chocolatey drink made him want to try it out a few times after work, yet he couldn't particularly understand why you would order the same cloying drink every time. Why not try out an Americano? Hell, even a frappe. Hot chocolate, small, medium, or large. He often found himself teasing you about that size thing. It was outrageously adorable to see you stutter and get a little flustered, and occasionally pout at him for still joking around about it. Gosh, your lips. Todoroki wanted to... Nope. No dirty thoughts. No being horny. He shook his head in a vague attempt to rid his brain of fantasies that filled his mind. You stood before him, head slightly tilted in confusion. Todoroki, you okay, or... He gulped back the nervousness that was lodged in his throat. Yes. Fine. Cool. Very cool. He mumbled in reply, wrapping his fingers against the counter. Hot chocolate. Medium? Yes. Yes, absolutely. You stifled a laugh, making Todoroki's cheeks burn with embarrassment. You glanced behind you to see if there was anyone queuing. Satisfied with your discovery of an empty line, you turned back to him and gave him a smile. His eyes widened before he slammed a hand over his mouth. Next to him, Midoriya turned away, dashing into the staff room, talking so loudly that both of you could hear it from outside. Todoroki heard Araka whoop with excitement, and there was a wheeze from Ida as Midoriya slapped him over the back. I told you, you owe me $15 and a week's supply of jelly donuts. This time, Todoroki almost felt like his face was on fire with how red he was. He looked back down at you, expectantly biting on your lower lip, with your eyes averted from his nervously. Jelly donuts, huh? How does ramen sound? Todoroki was giddy with excitement as he took off his apron, accidentally entangling himself in the straps, and Ida had to help him get out of it. He took a while in the bathroom to get ready. His fingers toyed with his hair, parting it here and there until Midoriya had to drag him out, insisting that he looked fine already. Go out there and do your best, Shoto. Oh, and here you go. Araka placed half an empty box of mints in his palm. Quietly, he thanked his co-workers, who seemed more excited about the dinner than he did. Todoroki shouldered his bag and walked out of the coffee shop. The ramen place was a quick walk away, and he soon found it. You were standing outside, glancing from your phone to the road opposite. Your eyes lit up when you saw Todoroki. Waving excitedly, you were greeted by a shy reciprocation of your greeting. The minute where he waited for the traffic light to turn green seemed like an eternity. Hey, there aren't many people yet, so I think we can go and get a seat now. You grinned as Todoroki strolled up to you. Could you notice his heart racing? He wondered how this would go. He personally wasn't very experienced in dating, and this was a major step out of his comfort zone. But he didn't mind at all. After all, following a month or two of beating around the bush, you would think that one would get rather impatient. The both of you stepped into the ramen restaurant and were directed into an empty booth. You ordered a regular bowl of noodles and split a plate of gyoza. The conversation flowed surprisingly well, jokes and talk never ending over the bowls of steaming soup. Todoroki was a little nervous, and you could tell that from his occasional stuttering, or how his fingers carded through his soft hair too many times to count. It was pretty adorable to see how flustered he was. He didn't slurp as he ate, and his sparkling eyes never left yours. He found himself ease as the evening wore on. The clammy feeling in his palms faded, and his stomach seemed to actually accept the food that he was swallowing back. Todoroki quietly sipped on his tea as he watched you chatter up passionately about one of your interests, a small grin forming behind the cup. Please, let me pay. Come on, you work your ass off on the weekends and slave to the economy, and you want to pay? Let's just split it. You laughed it off and smiled at him, pulling out your wallet. Todoroki couldn't bear to argue with you and simply let the matter slide. Hopefully, he thought, he would have more occasions where he could pay for you, but as you stepped outside, a quiet drizzle blanketed the dark skies, and a roll of thunder made you jump in your own skin. Todoroki looked up, concerned. Do you have an umbrella? You shook your head. Unfortunately not, but it's fine. My house is just a few blocks away, and I can walk. Let me walk you back to your house. We can share. Digging around in his bag, he pulled out a foldable umbrella. It had always been a habit of his to carry one around. You felt your heart skip a beat at the possible movie cliché that was about to happen. Nodding your head, you watched as Todoroki opened up the umbrella, the way his fingers worked the skeleton open, and his forearm muscles that strained against his taut skin made you force yourself to look away. You were really in the deep end for him. The walk back was silent, a large difference from the dinner that you two had just shared. The smell of rain permeated the air as droplets fell in constant rhythm. You kept your eyes on your shoes, careful not to step in any puddles, and eventually you reached your apartment building. Todoroki dropped the umbrella to his side as you got under some shelter, shaking the water off the dark material. "Thanks for walking me back. You really didn't have to," you quietly said as you shifted your weight from one foot to another. Looking back up, you saw Todoroki silently feeling the wet cotton of his shirt. Oh, he really had to pull the full cliché. Half of his body had sacrificed itself so that the umbrella could keep you dry. He noticed you staring. "Oh, it's okay." "No, it's not. Come in and at least dry off. Just don't get sick because of me." The ride up to your apartment was even more awkward. The air in the tiny cramped space was thick and suffocating as you kept your eyes trained on the slowly changing numbers all over the tiny screen over the doors. With each step, Todoroki left a smaller trail of water behind him. You unlocked the door to your apartment and stepped inside, rushing about to boil water for tea and fetch him a towel. Would this shirt fit him? Was it too embarrassing? Was Banana Cat stupid? Shaking your head, you dashed out and passed the shirt to Todoroki. He held it in disbelief, and you almost felt bad for giving him that one in particular. "Sorry, that's the only one that isn't shabby as a pajama shirt." Todoroki couldn't help that the corners of his lips twitched into what seemed to be a smile. His shoulders began to shake as he struggled to hold back a chuckle, which developed into a lovely laugh. His eyes were squeezed shut as he giggled, bent over and hugging his own waist. "Where did you get this? I love it." You were stunned as Todoroki gasped for air between heart-skipping chortles, the Banana Cat shirt clutched between his fingers. You began to laugh too, rushing forward and punching him lightly on the shoulder. You struggled to talk between the cackles that never seemed to stop. Todoroki's abs hurt, and it took the both of you a long while before you could finally calm down. By then, your cheeks were sore, and you wiped a tear that fell from your eye. He gazed at you. You looked utterly beautiful as you stood in the living room, the dim light casting shadows over your face. As you looked up, you noticed him staring at you. He didn't bother to peel his eyes off this time. He cracked a half smile, wondering what was going on inside his head. Your tongue snaked out to lick your dry lips as Todoroki continued to keep his vision trained on you, nearly burning a hole in your face with his piercing gaze. "Am I making you nervous?" The innocent question pierced your heart, as if Cupid had shot a lovesick arrow into his target. Who had made him feel this insecure? You wanted to run over and hug him in that moment. However, restraining yourself, you were quick to shake your head. "No, not at all. I love being with you. You're so fun and exciting. Really, I want to see you more." Your confidence made him melt on the inside. His heart was slowly softening, finally turning to putty in your hands. You had already done this much to him. What sort of supernatural vixen were you? Were you even human? He was convinced you weren't. Just a missing pair of snow-white wings, and he wouldn't have been surprised if you said you came from heaven. Todoroki crossed a few steps that separated him from you. He tossed the Banana Cat shirt over his shoulder as his warm palms cradled your cheeks. Your chest felt so tight as you gazed up at him, the air stiffening. "Can I kiss you?" His breath was warm against your lips, and his thumb stroked your cheekbone gently, making you reach up to cup your hands around his. "I thought you'd never ask." His lips pressed against yours, melting away the deep apprehensiveness that had curled itself around your throat. His eyes fluttered shut, and his nose bumped into yours briefly. Warmth slowly extended its fingers, tingling your senses and relaxing tension in your shoulder. It was as if you were taking the first sip of a cup of hot cocoa on a frosty winter morning. Your lips remained pursed when he drew away. Dazed, you kept your hands on Todoroki's as you slowly looked up at him. "Call me Shoto, please," he whispered, before leaning in to capture your lips against his once more. His heart seemed to finally settle into a relaxed pace, and everything felt right being with you. Todoroki couldn't help but be overwhelmed by a craving for your syrupy essence on his tongue. "I think you've gotten me addicted to hot chocolate." You couldn't help but giggle as your hands moved to link themselves around his lower back. Tiptoeing, he pressed a gentle peck to the tip of his nose, smiling teasingly as his face scrunched up. Well, thankfully, I'm just as sweet then. Alright, so that's the end of this one. I hope you enjoyed. If you're in the live chat, say thank you to the moderators. Anyways, check out the author in the description. They're pretty cool. So, music link, fanfic link, Discord link, and thumbnail art link will all be in the description as well. But if you actually want to check, you probably would have seen that there anyway. I hope you have a great rest of your day, night, whatever, and I hope to see you in the next one. Goodbye!